Welcome to the Ubuntu Linux course. If you have never used Linux before, this is the course for you. Ubuntu is one of the most popular Linux-based systems. We'll take you through a tour of the Ubuntu Desktop. You'll learn how to use it and all the ins and outs. You'll learn how it compares to other operating systems, and you'll also learn about the default apps. We'll teach you how to install Ubuntu, you'll get an introduction to VirtualBox and the installation process, and we'll also cover the system settings. You'll also learn how to customize the Ubuntu Desktop to your own liking, such as the launcher, theme, and so on. And you'll learn a lot about the essentials like user management, web browsing, email, and everything you'd use on a day-to-day basis. If you go to the website tour.ubuntu.com, so this URL, that's tour.ubuntu.com, you can get a preview of the operating system without installing. So it's a simulation of the real system. So what you see here when you start is that you can take some kind of tour, and we'll press show yourself around. And you'll see this is the main screen of any Ubuntu system. So you've got the clock here on top. Let's move this. You've got the clock here on top. You've got some sound, volume control, mail, Bluetooth, and some network connection. And on the total right, you can choose to shut down your system. And depending on the permissions, you can also restart the system. So on the left, you've got the menu bar, similar to a Windows start bar that you'd have at the bottom. On Ubuntu, it's on the left. So you've got a few apps here. You've got the system settings, which allows you to configure all kinds of systems. You've got the Amazon store. You've got the software center, which is where you can install all of the software on the Ubuntu system. So any type of app you would install using the software center, so this shopping bag. And then you've got some word processing apps. So this is the Word-like program. So you can type your documents. You've got a spreadsheet. You've got a PowerPoint-like program. So there's something like that. And you've got a web browser, which is the Firefox. And you've got File Explorer, which is a lot like the Windows Explorer in a way. So you've got the desktop, the documents, downloads, music, pictures, videos, and so on. Now note that the buttons are actually on the left, so they are not on the right, but they are on the left. So you've got the close bar, the minimize, and another one. So let's close this one. And one thing that's like very different from the other systems is the dash menu. So this is called the dash menu, and the whole bar is called the launcher. So if you click on the dash menu, you can search for applications. So whichever app you are looking for example, you could be searching for Office, or you could be searching for anything related to the web, and so on. So you can search based on that, and you've got all kind of apps in the list as well as files. So it automatically you can also search your files, and on the bottom you can choose between type. So by default it searches for apps, but there's some more, like you can search for documents, music, videos, pictures, and so on. So this is just the basic overview of the system. I've got quite a few basic things, but this is just the simulator, so you can get an idea what the Ubuntu desktop is like. This is not yet the real system, it's only a simulation. But you can play around with it to get an idea of the Ubuntu system. This lecture will download Ubuntu Linux. This is the website of Ubuntu Linux. That's www.ubuntu.com. Click on Download and select Desktop. Click on Download once more. They may ask some interview questions, but you can skip those, so click on Not Now. Just before downloading, make sure you know you have the right processor. So if you click Download, you'll see it immediately starts downloading for a 64-bit processor. If your computer is a bit older, you might need a 32-bit version. If your computer is a bit older, if you have a 32-bit machine, go on top of the URL and change it to i386. So if you click download, if you go to the page and download, it will immediately start downloading the old version, the 32-bit version. Most of the times, if you have a modern computer, you will need the 64-bit version. So again, change to i386 if you have an old computer, so a 32-bit machine. For modern computers, you can just click download. For most computers, you can just click download. So if your computer is newer than, say, 2012, you can just get away with that. Go to pendrivelinux.com on your Windows machine. You'll see this website. and scroll down, you'll see there's several options, and choose, if you're using a Windows computer to install, choose from Windows. And you'll see the app will allow you to put several systems on your USB drive. So we're going to go with the Ubuntu. So put Ubuntu on flash drive using Windows. So, okay, you see some screenshots. So first we'll need to download the universal USB installer. Just take a second or so to download. So this program, it's so once it's downloaded, you can start the program, and you'll see a screen like this pop up. So you can select distribution. I'll show you. You have to select the ISO file, which is like the disk, and then you can select your drive and press create. So we're going to need the ISO file, which you can get from ubuntu.com. So go to ubuntu.com and go to the desktop link or the download link right here. Press download and can select download. Press no thank you, take me to the download, and you'll see it starts automatically, and by default it downloads the 64-bit version. So if you use a 32-bit computer, you'll have to download the 32-bit version. So to check that, you can go to Start Computer, if you start My Computer on the Explorer, you can press right mouse button on this computer, Properties, and you'll see this is a 32-bit machine. So if you have a 64-bit computer, you'll see 64-bit pop up here. So in this case we need a 32-bit version. So to do so, change the last bar to I386. If you press enter, press download, you'll see it starts downloading the 32-bit version instead of the 64 version, just by changing this into I386. So it will take a second or so to download the ISO file. So once you've completed the file, press browse, go to downloads and select your ISO file, then select your USB drive and press create. It will create a bootable Linux distribution, a USB Ubuntu version, which you can use to try Ubuntu as well as to install it to the computer. Visit google.com and type VirtualBox. Click on VirtualBox on the virtualbox.org website. You can also visit virtualbox.org directly. Click on the link and you'll see virtualbox.org. So this program allows you to create virtual computers. If you use this program, you cannot break your hard disk or damage your computer in any way. I'll show you some screenshots to give you an idea of what it means to have a computer inside a computer. Got a bunch of screenshots here. I'll just click on one of the pictures to show you. We'll zoom in on the picture to give you a better idea. We see a Windows computer running the program VirtualBox. Inside VirtualBox we see another computer system. So we run a virtual computer, that is, a computer inside a computer. If you have VirtualBox installed, you can run multiple computer systems on your system. There are several other example screenshots here. So for example, there's the Apple Macintosh system, which is running the program VirtualBox, and inside VirtualBox you'll see a Windows computer. Using VirtualBox you can run many computer systems at the same time. You can run Windows 2000, XP, Mac, all at the same time, just inside the VirtualBox computers. If you go to downloads, you'll see you can download the VirtualBox application for several systems, so download the version for your operating system. So if you click the link, you can download VirtualBox. Now download the VirtualBox version for your system. So if you're using Windows, use the Windows version, Mac, use the Mac version, and so on. So download the right setup file for VirtualBox, depending on which system you are using right now. VirtualBox has a very big advantage, and that is that you cannot break or damage your existing system. So you cannot lose any data, any files. Everything is running inside a virtual computer. What you've seen in this lecture, running a computer in another computer, is called virtualization. In this course we'll run Ubuntu Linux as a virtual computer. You can of course install Ubuntu on your system, but then you risk damaging your files or data. If you want to install Ubuntu without virtualization, don't worry, you'll get that option too. Ubuntu can be run in a virtual machine. To do so, we need VirtualBox. Start VirtualBox and go to New on the left corner. Type Ubuntu. Select the right processor, so if you have 32-bit, select the 32-bit version. Most of the computers these days will be 64-bit. Click on Create Virtual Hard Disk and click Create. Click Create again. You'll see it's created the virtual computer, and inside this computer we need to insert the installation CD or installation USB disk. So go to Settings and select Storage. You'll see the CD drive is empty. Click on the little plus icon and click on Disk. So now go to the file you've downloaded, which is probably the Ubuntu 16 version for 32-bit or 64-bit computer. Click on OK. Now if we press Start, it will start the virtual computer. Alas, this is a computer inside a computer, and this computer has the Ubuntu installation CD inserted. The computer is virtual, so you really see a computer starting, because it's a computer in a computer. You would actually see the same thing if you would buy a Ubuntu CD and put it inside a real computer. You would see the same startup process. So you'll see the Ubuntu installation CD is starting right now. The installation screen will appear on your screen if everything went alright. Just wait for a moment and it will appear. In a moment the installation screen will appear. Once you see the installation screen, you get a choice between two options. Either you install the system, or you try the Linux system, the Ubuntu Linux system, without installing. So you would create it without changing anything to your hard disk. This try version actually doesn't make any changes to your real computer. In this case we have a virtual computer, so nothing can break. But in case we have a real computer, we could just press try, and it won't change anything on the actual computer. It will run as if virtual. On the left of the screen you can select your language. Now notice that when we hover our mouse over one of the languages, our orange bar appears on the side. So this is our scroll bar, and it automatically is minimized, so if we hover over it, it gets bigger. And we can select the language we want to use. I'm going to go with English for now, but just notice that this orange bar appears when we hover it. So it's very typical from Ubuntu, because right now you don't see a bar, a scroll bar, and when you pull your mouse over it, a scroll bar appears. So select the language you want and press Try Ubuntu. This will start a live version of the Ubuntu system. So it won't actually install, but you can take a look at the system without installing. So it will start the desktop. Notice that the desktop looks quite different from a Mac or a Windows computer. We'll see a pop-up here with keyboard shortcuts. You can just ignore it for now. And just ignore that for now. Now on the left you will see application icons. So we've got Firefox here, word processor, Excel-like program, software installation center. And on the top we can search the computer. So if you press that button, you can type any program name and it will search the computer for that program. So let's say we type Firefox. It will start searching the system and automatically find the associated program, so you can search your desktop. Now there's all kind of programs, so for example maybe we are interested in sound settings, so we can just type sound and you'll see the sound settings pop up. So you can search your desktop that way. And notice on the bottom you have several other options. So you can select those. So now it will search applications, search files and folders, search videos, music, and photos. So depending on what you're looking for, you can select the type on the bottom and search the computer for that type of information. So very central in this Ubuntu Desktop is the search option. Now we've also got a file explorer here. So if Ubuntu were installed, we could browse the computer using the file explorer. So you've got all kind of options here like documents, downloads, music, pictures, and so on. So you can browse the computer. Click Install. This will start the installation process of Ubuntu Linux. If you're not installing inside VirtualBox, I recommend having a computer dedicated just for Ubuntu Linux. Might take a second to actually start the first screen, and then we can select the installation language as well as the system. So select English. You can install third-party software as well as updates during the installation. So that's optional, you can check it. This will take longer to actually download the software, but you'll have all the latest software. You can install Ubuntu alongside another operating system. In any case, if you decide to do so, I recommend to back up all of your important files, because if the installation goes wrong, you lose everything. I recommend having a computer just for the Ubuntu Linux, for trying out the system or installing it inside VirtualBox, such that you can't lose any data. If you press Erase Disk, it will completely erase the disk. This includes any operating system that's already on the computer. So if you have Windows on the computer, it will be removed. Now, I recommend having a dedicated computer just for Ubuntu Linux or using VirtualBox. It will ask you to select your location on the world. This is used to determine the time. So depending on which country you're residing, it will show the correct time zone. So that's the only reason why this is used. Select your keyboard layout. Now you can test which keyboard layout you have, so I recommend testing the special characters like the euro symbol, dollar symbol, and so on. If you select the wrong one, it might show the wrong keys while pressing the keys. Finally, it will ask you to enter a username and a password. I'll just name it Ubuntu with password Ubuntu. You have an option to encrypt your home folder. So if you don't know what encryption is, it's like a security measure. So if you don't know, just skip it for now. Now it will just continue installing. You can have a coffee as well as doing that. Once it's completed, you can restart the computer. Similar to a Windows computer or an Apple Macintosh, we have a configuration screen known as System Settings. You can configure all kinds of things inside the system settings, like network, display, and so on. To open the system settings, just click on the left top and type System Settings and click on the icon. Might take a second, so this one, open this one. Click on it to open it and you can find all kinds of settings in there, like appearance, brightness, screen lock, and so on. Display, so you can change the screen resolution there. You can change the keyboard configuration. There's power settings, users, time, and so on. Most of the things you'll need to configure your system you can find inside this panel. So it doesn't contain all of the system settings. Go to the desktop. Click using the right mouse button. You have the option to change the desktop background. If you click on that using the left mouse button, you'll actually get the menu to change the background. You'll see the settings menu, and in this menu we can change the wallpaper. Ubuntu by default does not have live wallpaper, so all are static pictures. You can click on any wallpaper you like and double click to change it. Just double click on the selected wallpaper. By default you have quite a few wallpapers included in the Ubuntu system. You can also add the pictures folder, so if you prefer to use your photos or pictures or any other folder on your system. So just click on the plus symbol. If you prefer, you can also use a solid color, so it's like without distraction. The thing to do is to install Unity Tweak Tool. This is a customization program. Go on top and start the terminal. Once started, we type the command sudo apt-get install Unity Tweak Tool. So this command will install the program. It looks quite cryptic, so this gives that administrator right, and this is the installation program. So if you type just this command and press enter, it will install the Unity Tweak Tool program, which can be used for customization of the entire Ubuntu system. We can add shortcuts directly in the launcher bar on the left. To do so, we first search for the application that we want to add. For example, let's search for a text editor and wheel out a shortcut to the text editor in the sidebar. Select the icon and drag it with the mouse, so mouse press down and drag it directly onto the bar. By dragging it, it will be added to the top and release it when you are finished with dragging. If you don't want to have it at this location in the launcher, select it, move it to the right and move to the position you want it to be. Drag it to the left again to insert it on the place you want it to be. This can be done with any application. I'll just add it to the bottom here. Now let's add another one. Let's add another shortcut to the launcher on the left. Say we add videos, left click on the video icon and drag it onto the launcher bar. If we let go of the mouse button, you'll see it's added to the launcher bar. To remove a shortcut, click right mouse button and select Unlock from Launcher Bar. If you click on this one, you'll see the Amazon option disappears. So you can remove any icon and add icon as you wish. So right click, Unlock will remove any shortcut from the bar. By default, the launcher is on the left side of the screen. Start Unity Tweak Tool, a program we have installed in the previous video. We can move the launcher, which is the menu on the left, to the bottom of the screen. This will only work with the newest version of Ubuntu, so 16 and newer. So let's see how to do that. Click Launcher inside Unity Tweak Tool. You'll see we have the option Appearance. In Appearance we can select left or bottom. If we select bottom, it will go to the bottom of the screen. Now we have the launcher on the bottom of the screen, just like a Windows machine. So if you prefer, you can put it on the bottom. The functionality remains completely the same, but you can choose whether you want to have it on the left side or the bottom of the screen. You can change the theme, so the appearance, in the Unity Tweak Tool. A theme is icons, window borders, and so on. Drag the window to the center and click on Theme. There are various options, so we can change the window theme, which is the surrounding of every window on the desktop. For example, we can set it to the high contrast theme. We could select the radiance theme, which is more light on the eyes. We can change the icon theme. If we click on that, you'll see the icons change, so the appearance of the desktop change. We can change the window borders, the icons, and so on. If you open the File Explorer, you can really see all of the icons changing. The icons will change depending on which icon theme you select, so you can get all kind of looks. We can change the appearance of the entire Ubuntu environment. We can also change the mouse cursor, so if you want another color of the mouse cursor, or whichever you want to pick. We can also change the font, and so we can really customize Ubuntu. Every app has its own application menu. Usually it has the options File, Edit, Help, and so on. If we start an app such as a text editor, so go to the left top and type text editor, you won't see any menu appearing, and this is because by default the application menu of any app is shown on the top. If we want to open a new file, we have to go all the way to the top of the screen to press File Open. This will make sense if you used Mac before, but if you used Windows before, this is confusing. You may want instead to have the menu inside the application window. We can actually change this. Click right mouse button on the desktop and change background. This menu is a little bit hidden inside the settings. Click on Behavior, and you'll find the option Show the menu for a window inside the window toolbar. So if we select the other option, the window menu will be actually shown in the windows. It is, however, only shown if we put our mouse cursor on top of it. There's an option next to it, Menu Visibility, Always Displayed. With these settings, the menu bar is always visible on the screen for any application, directly in the application window. If you used Windows before, you definitely want to change these settings because it's more similar. A Ubuntu system can have more than one user, so there are several users that can use the computer. You can add new users. So if we press in the corner here, you'll see an overview of the users. There are two users on this system, the Ubuntu and the guest session. If you go to the dash here on the left and you type users, the application user will appear. So you'll see the icon user accounts pop up. And start this application. In this menu you can set all kind of settings for your user. For example, you can set your profile picture, which can be one of the default pictures or a picture from your computer. This picture is displayed when you start the computer. You can also use your own picture, like a photo of your webcam. Your user can have any picture, so this is either a picture from the system, a picture that you have on your computer, or a photo from your webcam. So we can add pictures for users. You can change the picture if you want. You can set it to automatically log in so that you don't need to type your password. So then you can just start the computer or the system without typing the password. It will always go directly in the desktop. You can also select Show Login Name on the menu bar, so you'll see the name on the top. So far we changed a few user settings, but we can also add new users. To do so, we first need to press Unlock. It will ask you the system password, so the administrator password, which in my case is Ubuntu. Click on the plus key, and then you can choose between two types of users, which is either an administrator or a standard user. An administrator can do all kind of administrative tasks, like install new software, install new graphics software, and all kind of things that you can't normally do as a standard user. Pick your username. I'll pick Udemy, and you can also specify the full name, so first last name. Click on the Add button, and you'll see another user has been added. We could select another language. Now, usually you go with English. We can configure a password for this user if we click on it. You can set it up to log in automatically without password. And of course you can also set the picture for this user as you've seen before. So you can set a profile picture or a webcam photo. Select any picture you like for this user. And when you are finished, you press the lock key again. Now the user has been added, so there's a new user on the system. And if you click on the corner, you'll see the user is there and we can switch to this user. Every user has its own files and folders and configuration. So its own wallpaper, its own personal files and so on. Similar to a Mac or Windows machine. We can configure default applications. So if we open a certain file, it will open the app. Go to the corner here, search for System. Here you'll see the system settings pop up on the screen. Click on the system settings. If you click Details, it will tell us a little bit about the system we have. If you click on Default Applications, you can see the default applications for certain purposes. For example, right now surfing the web is set to Firefox. In here you could set another one, so if you prefer Chromium or Google Chrome, you can set it here. For mail purpose, you can select the default you want, like Geary, Thunderbird. So for all these purposes, we can set the default application to start, whether it is for surfing the web, mail, and so on. So you can find it by going to the System Settings, and then going to Details, and finally click on Default Applications. So this is where you can configure the default apps. A popular app to browse the web is known as Firefox. By default, it's installed on Ubuntu. If you look on the left, you'll see the Firefox icon on the launcher. If you start it, it will open the web browser, so you can use it to visit any website. Depending on your computer system, it might actually take a while to load or not. It's a pretty standard browser. By default, it will open the website of the manufacturer, which is known as Mozilla. It will give you some more information about the web browser. Now you can go on and install all kind of extensions or plugins if you want to, but this is just a pretty basic browser. So you can use this program, which is installed by default, to serve any website you want. It's just one of the many web browsers that run on Ubuntu Linux. Another popular web browsing app is called Chromium, which is also the basis of Google Chrome. By default, it's not installed, so we have to open Software Center to install it. On top in the search bar, search for Chromium. So by default, it's not installed, and we have to search in the Software Center to install this web browser. You'll see the Chromium appear in the search results, and the web browser is a lot like Google Chrome. It actually forms the basis of it. So click on Install. So this will install the web browser, and it pretty much works like Google Chrome. Now if you want, you can also use Google Chrome, but it's not inside the Software Center, so you have to get that one from the web. So the Chromium will take a second or so to completely install, and it's pretty much like a Chrome browser. Once installed, you see the Chromium browser pop up, so you can simply surf the web. Now I mentioned you can also use the Google Chrome browser. This is only true if you have a 64-bit computer. So if you have an older computer or 30-bit computer, this is no longer supported. The Chromium, however, works on both 64 and 32-bit machines. Ubuntu has support for web apps, but this is only true for the Chromium browser. So if you use Firefox, it's not supported. So we load any website or web app inside the Chromium web browser. Let's just start the browser, and we can turn any website into a web app. So go to any website you want, any web app. For example, I'll take the maps.google.com, the Maps app. So we will turn this web app inside an app we can directly start from the desktop. We will be able to launch this app directly from the launcher. So we go to File, Create Application Shortcuts inside the Chromium web browser. Deselect the desktop option and keep Application menu selected. And finally press Create. You'll see it's already looking like an app. You don't see the browser environment anymore. It really looks like an app. Close that one and go to Search on the top. Search for the web app name. So in this case, it's already appeared in the results. And we can drag this directly into the launcher bar. So we can always launch the web app directly from the launcher. By clicking it, it will start the web app for this particular website. So you can do this for any website. You can turn any website into a web app using this method, but it's for Chromium only, so Firefox won't do this. A popular mail client is known as Geary. So first thing to do is to start the Software Center. You'll see it's the editor's pick, so it's a very popular mail client on Ubuntu systems. You can use it to read all of your email. So it really is a desktop app. It's a lot like Outlook, but a very simple version. So search for Geary and then press install to install this application. So you can just send emails, receive emails, and all the basics of mail. You can read multiple mail accounts at the same time. So if you were to use web, you'd have to open them separately, and in this program you can read them at once. An alternative to this is using webmail or a web app. or to use another mail client like Thunderbird. And you can start it just like all the other apps. So just go to the top and search for Kiri, but let's wait for the installation to complete. It will then, once you start it, ask which kind of mail address you have. So do you have Gmail, Yahoo or Outlook, or do you have another one? If you specify other, you'll have to specify some information about your particular mail address. So the other ones is like more easy to work with this program, but otherwise it works. If you use Ubuntu, you don't have to be stuck with just one graphical environment. You can choose whichever graphical environment you like best. So for instance, I use the KDE desktop environment, which has like a taskbar and a menu here with programs. I can quickly switch to places, for example, computer, documents, downloads, music, pictures, and so on. And there's like some options here. It has a search bar here in which I can search for programs. So besides going through them in the menu, I can also it's just another graphical environment than the one you're used to. Now on Linux there are many different graphical environments, and you can choose whichever graphical environment you like best. So you can install a graphical environment, and there are many different environments. For example, by default, Ubuntu uses the Gnome shell, which looks something like this. And to install it, you can start a terminal. So if you start a terminal, you can type this command to install the graphical environment. Now, this is just Gnome is just one of the graphical environments. As you see, I'm in the KDE desktop environment, which you can install as well. There's the Unity environment, which is now deprecated, but it was like something a bit similar to the graphical Gnome environment. You can still install it. So if you type this command in the terminal, you can just copy paste it, type your password, and it will start installing that graphical environment. So I have already installed it apparently. And you'll see here, for example, there's the XFCE desktop environment. So looks like this. You can copy and paste the command and install it that way. So if you paste this, you'll see that it starts installing that graphical environment. So this is the XFCE environment. The difference is that XFCE is like a super minimal environment that it will even run on an old Pentium computer. That's like how lightweight it is. And Gnome and KDE are more heavy desktops. So this is the KDE environment, the one I'm currently using. So you can install that with this command. So if you copy and paste this command and in your terminal, it will start installing the KDE environment. And to switch to an environment, after you're done installing, it doesn't do that automatically. You have to log out of your computer. And then once you're in the login screen, choose the environment that you want. So there's also the LXDE, which is also like a lightweight, L is for lightweight environment, which is similar to XFCE. So they are conceptually the same. So for example, LXDE also has like a start menu on the left corner where you can start programs. However, it has less features than KDE because it's very lightweight. There's Cinnamon, also a similar concept where you have a start menu and you can install it with a command as well. There's Mate, another desktop environment. Pantheon, which is a bit more like Mac OS X kind of look. You can click through to install that. There's the old Gnome, which was a bit different, where you have like some menus on top where you can start programs. You can install it with this command. And then there's like some more hardcore environments that uses keyboard shortcuts like Awesome. I don't use this one myself personally, but you can just use keyboard shortcuts, and it's a tiling window manager. So it always puts windows in full screen and then divides your screen according to the space used. So you'll see a window here, and a window here. It's a tiling window manager, and it has like, they say like it doesn't waste screen space because all of the windows use the maximum amount of screen size. So a tiling window manager is conceptually different, but it does take some time to learn it. So if you want to install it, you can just copy the command and paste it in a terminal. and then when you want to use it, log out and log in. However, if you want to use something like Awesome or another tiling window manager, I recommend like printing the documentation first, because it has quite a lot of learning curve. And once you start this, there's this or that keyboard shortcut for everything, and you don't have like a little menu that you can use to click through. So tiling window managers like Awesome or i3VM or Sway, they have quite a lot of learning curve. So I recommend that you print the keyboard shortcuts beforehand if you want to use something like that. There's Enlightenment, which was like a very popular desktop in the 90s. It has a lot of graphical effects, but at the same time it's kind of a 90s look. There's i3VM, which I used quite often. However, this one has quite a learning curve as well. So it's another tiling window manager where the screen size is divided. So whenever you start a new program, it divides the screen into like smaller windows, and everything is with keyboard shortcuts. And so if you want to use i3VM, I recommend printing the documentation. So this is i3VM. You have some screenshots here, like for example this video, and you can get some idea. i3VM is really conceptually different. So you'll see there's a window here, and the window can split into multiple windows. So when somebody's using it, you'll see the window can split into multiple windows. Whenever you start a new program, it just splits the screen. So this is like conceptually different. You'll see he split the window several times. There's workspaces as well. But yeah, the i3VM and Awesome window manager is really conceptually different. So they have quite a learning curve where you have to learn the shortcuts. Now, if you go to duck.com and you type i3VM shortcuts, you get a list of those shortcuts, and you can use that list to practice. However, if you just want like something easy, I recommend like going with something like XFCE or KDE. Just lets you click in the computer. You don't have to learn any keyboard shortcuts. You can just click and do everything. Or LXD as well. You can just like click on things and start whatever programs you want in a very easy way to use the computer. You don't have to memorize any keyboard shortcuts. So the Awesome and i3VM is really what programmers use a lot. You can also use the Chrome desktop environment, but it seems that it's no longer available. And then there's like some custom things like this audio player environment, another tiling window manager. There's Unity 8, but it's discontinued, not available anymore. There's Budgie, kind of like Genome, a bit of similar feel to Genome. Again, you can install it with a command. There's Deepin, which is like a Chinese environment. It seems popular in China, but some people in the rest of the world also use it. There's Razor Qt, but discontinued, so no longer available. Trinity, which is the old KDE. So some people are really nostalgic and want to use the old KDE environment. So that's Trinity. That's like trying to keep the old KDE environment alive. And then there's some other ones, Subtol, LXQT. It's something like a bit of a Windows feel with a start menu. There's OpenBox. OpenBox is different in that like you have Windows, but you don't have a start menu. When you click on the desktop, it opens the menu. So let me see if I can show you the OpenBox quickly. So yeah, this is OpenBox. And what OpenBox will do is you can drag your windows around and you have a simple menu. So you'll see here, this is what OpenBox looks like. And you can start programs with a right click. So, and then you can drag windows around. So it's very basic, but it's something in between like the start menu concepts that you have in KDE or XFCE and between tiling window managers. So OpenBox is like a little bit in between of those two. Then there are some other one discontinued, another tiling window manager. I haven't used this one. This is a window manager that's often used on the Unix BSD systems. And then like some of them are discontinued. Sway is a fork of KDE for the modern Wayland system. It's just basically it's exactly the same as i3VM. However, it uses Wayland instead of X, another graphical interface. So those are like the most popular desktop environments. So if you're new, I recommend trying Genome Shell. The XFCE is also good for beginners. KDE Plasma, the one I'm using right now, it's very easy to use. Or LXDE. Like those four are easy to use, and you won't have to like deal with all kind of crazy shortcuts. They're just like you can click around and drag windows just as you would do on a Windows or Mac computer. So I recommend using one of those. If you want to install another one, you just copy the command. You go to a console. Oh, my installation still isn't finished, but you go to a console, you paste it in, you press enter, and it will start installing that desktop environment. And then when you want to change it, you just go to the start menu and log out. And once you are in the login screen, choose the desktop environment and log in. So that's all there's to it. So you have quite a lot of choice in graphical environments, depending on what you prefer. Now I use KDE, it's still lightweight. It's not as lightweight as LXDE, but it's quite lightweight and it has a lot of features. So for example, if I want to connect to a different internet connection, I have a little screen here. If I want to increase the sound volume, there's like the volume bar here. And like all kind of little things like that make it easy to use. When you use like something like Blackbox or OpenBox or a tiling window manager, you don't have those buttons where you can easily change those kind of settings. So I really recommend trying KDE Plasma, Genome, or LXDE, XFCE type of desktops for beginners, because the others are like you have to learn all those shortcuts and use the command line if you want to change the volume and stuff like that. And so those ones are really oriented towards beginners.